Hey there, this is Catherine Cartwright. Welcome. If you have not watched my unboxing video of the Ultimate Collection from Diamond Press, go check that out. I'll link that right here. But I am going to begin this video using the Tacky Paste. This is included in the Diamond Press Ultimate Mixed Media Collection. And I'm just going to do a couple of card fronts where I'm going to apply this tacky paste. Now I'm going to begin, there's several tools that were included in this kit, and this is one of them. I'm going to switch to the other one, but you can see it's tacky. I'm picking up everything. And so I've got this paper. I'm just using some white cardstock. I'm not using anything special for this. Sometimes when I use texture paste, I will use a Bristol cardstock, but I'll address that in another video when I'm talking about the texture paste. But this is the tacky paste. It is a glue essentially that will dry, and this will allow me to adhere some foil to it. I have a mat underneath here that resists the glue and wipes off quite easily. So I'm going to keep that underneath so this doesn't get all over my mat. Now this paste is a little bit thinner than a texture paste because it's a glue, and so it's got to spread. It's very tacky when it's wet. So you'll see my fingers will start sticking to things. So you need to work quickly when you're doing this. You also need to put this into water. I've got a little container that I keep these in, and so it can stay wet and not set up on my stencil. And so you need to do that because it will stick to your stencil, and it will be hard to get off because it is a glue. And so I've cleaned in between. This is another stencil. I'm just going to show you again. It's got directions on here on how to apply that, and then I'm going to use some of the different tools. You do need to cap it between. It won't dry out instantly, but if you left it for a while, it would probably, at least the top part, would dry out. Now, when I apply this tacky paste, it takes a little practice, so to speak. So, have fun with this. Get it out, play with it if you got this kit. And see what works for you. I like to usually keep my spatula kind of on an edge, turn it on its side and drag it through, but you do have to get it through the stencil. If you push too hard, you can smush it underneath and it will spread all over. So again, I encourage you just to get this out and play with it. I also am not a perfectionist with things like this, with texture paste or tacky paste. If it's not perfect, meaning that I don't get every little area filled exactly uniformly, I don't have a problem with that. I like a very organic look a lot of times to my cards, but I'm just trying to show you pretty much filling in most of the things. But again, it's always your project and you can make it how you want it to be. So I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to go ahead and peel off the paper, the washi tape behind it. It will set up on there, but you can always cut it off. But you can see I kind of went over the edge a little bit, and so it will set up. So I'm just putting this over on another mat. It's actually a Diamond Press mat, and I'm just letting that dry. I'm going to wipe this stuff off and clean it up again. I'm going to do one more. I end up doing 4 of these. I'm just showing you these on camera just to show you the different tools and the ways that you can apply it. I like all the different tools that they included in here, including that big one, and they're all very nice quality. So I'm putting some on here and then running this through, and then I will let this dry. It recommends on the instructions to let it dry for about 60 minutes. What will happen is this will dry clear. You can see right now it's a little bit white, and then when it dries clear, you know it is time to use it. So I'm just working this into my paper, and this is a large open space in this one, and so I'm just taking a little bit more time. I've got a little bit more to cover, but I've got a generous amount on there, and then I'm going to show you can take the bigger piece there, the bigger tool I should say, scraper, and drag that through there. Now I'm going to be sure and wipe a lot of this off because I don't want to waste any of it. and then I will again clean that up. But you definitely want to get this into the water as soon as possible, because it will stick on there, and you may end up with a little bit of residue. Sometimes with these kind of pastes, I'm not quick enough and I end up with a little bit of residue, but I don't find that it hurts moving forward my stencil at all. It's just, it may bother you a little bit. All right, so I'm going to be careful with this one. I probably should wait a second, but since I'm on camera, I want to show you about peeling off the back of that. And then will clean up my mess. All right, so now I'm back. This has dried. It actually dried overnight. I had planned to do it for an hour, but life got in the way, and so I did not get to revisit that until the next day. And we can see how it is going to perform. Now, I pulled out the instructions of what they recommend to do. I have used foil before in other videos. I love to use foil, and so I'm excited to try this. I'm just peeling off the little tape that is keeping this closed, and you did get 2 colors in this set. I've got gold and silver. Now, I am going to use a couple of other colors from another brand that I have from Decofoil Thermoweb, and I wanted to see if it would work on this as well, because you may have some other foil in your craft stash that you want to use. So I wanted to try that out as well. Okay, I'm going to trim this down, and I'll hold on to all these little extra pieces. You never want to waste your foil. You can always find something to foil. And then I am going to pull out a brand new folder for my marquee. This is the Diamond Press brand of die cutting machine. I've got a review on that if you're interested. It's a little tabletop machine, but this is what they recommend using, a product that they created to run this through your machine. But I feel pretty confident you could use this in another die cutting machine. You just need a way to press that foil on there. So I tried it without a shim. It does recommend in the instructions using a shim. You can see that I did get some contact. You can see those leaves kind of poking through, but it wasn't exactly how I wanted it. So I'm going to run it through with the shim. The Diamond Press Marquee has great pressure, but since this is a little bit of a different project, they recommend using the shim. Maybe 1 or 2. 1 was just fine for mine. It made it very snug, not so snug that I could not get it through. You do not want to have your sandwich so thick that you cannot feed it through the machine, because that can damage it. But this worked really, really well. And I'm shaking it because I always do hot foil or foil through my laminator, and so I always have to let it cool. So I think I thought in my mind it was going to be hot, but it was not. And so I'm very happy with the result on this. It has nice adhesion and it looks really great. There's a little bit of texture just from me applying the texture paste, and I love that. I don't really do perfection in the craft room. I'm pretty laid back about that, and I want people to know that it's homemade. I could buy a perfect card at the store, but that's not why I make cards. I like to experiment and use different things and have fun. All right, so I'm going to do the same process again. I'm using another one of those panels that I prepared, and I'm going to try and do it with the foil transfer option number 2, which is I'm flipping it over and I'm using a bone folder to apply pressure. And I get a little bit of results. You can see a little bit there. Maybe I should have taken it off the paper. That may have been holding up some of the pressure, but I don't like this result as well. I think it would work, but since I have the machine and it pressed beautifully the first time, I'm going to go to that in just a second. But I did want to show you that they do have other recommendations of how to transfer it. And you can see a little bit more coming in there, and I'm putting pretty good pressure on there, and I'm just checking to see. Now I'm going to pull it back and see the result, and it's just not quite enough pressure. I probably could really press harder directly. I'm going to start using my finger, but sometimes if you press directly on the front, you can damage the image, and which is fine. But if you're taking that bone folder directly to the paste on the front, you might kind of scrape it a little bit. So I decide that I don't love that enough as is, so I'm going to do the same process again of running this through my machine and then using a shim on top. I'll use that same piece of green paper and shim that up and run it through one more time, and let's see what result we get. So this is just fun. I love foiling and using things like this. So this was a fun part of the box that I have enjoyed. I'm going to have some other videos on some of the other products. I'm looking forward to trying them. So be sure and subscribe if you don't already. And there we go, a much better adhesion. There are a couple of spots that I missed when I was filling it in, and I'm just checking to make sure that that is not adhesive still. And those are just spots where I did not get enough tacky paste in there, but it looks great and I love it. Okay, so here are the other brands. I've got a Gina K color, and then this is another, but these are all made, these two are made by Decofoil. ThermoWeb is the company, and I use these a lot when I make cards with foil. So I'm going to try them out and see how they perform as well. Because again, you may have some in your craft stash, and eventually you're going to run out of the foil that Diamond Press provided. So if you like this kind of thing and you've got some at your house, this is a great way to use up some existing stuff that you have. And I'm trying to decide which one I want to make green. And then I've got that kind of rainbow one that I'm going to use. So I'm going to flip this over. And I probably should say that when you're foiling, the color part is going to go up, and the kind of silver matte side goes down. So that is what is going to stick to your project. And then you'll have that green foil on top. So we run this through with that same shim. And then let's see the result that we get. And I can already tell instantly it looks really, really good. Beautiful. This foil stuck very well, which makes me very happy because it's another opportunity to use some of that for another project. When I run out of the gold or silver, I have lots of foil and I can use it for that. I've got this mono eraser I wanted to show you. I've got a little bit of kind of overfoiling where the paste got away from me underneath the stencil. And it's just a very inexpensive sand eraser that are in a lot of craft stores, your big box craft stores, and certainly online. But it's a great little friend to have to remove some adhesive and some of the extra foil if that happens to you. You can also use, like if you have a pokey tool to poke things out of your die, you can kind of scrape stuff off of there, or something that would just kind of gently scrape without tearing your paper. You can use that as well. But I've always had a really good success with that mono eraser, and it lasts forever. Forever and ever and ever and ever. Okay, so here is the rainbow one that looks pretty good. Now I ran this through and I realized I forgot my shim because it wasn't all sticking the way I wanted to. So I realized I had made a mistake. And so I'm going to run this through another time with my shim. And I'm just using a basic cardstock. It's probably about 100-pound weight, that green cardstock with my folder. And there you can really see it popping off underneath that foil. Okay, so let's peel this back, and it releases pretty well. You just want to go slowly so you don't pull anything off. I'm just making sure I've got some good adhesion, and I absolutely love that. Looks so great. So I'm very excited to see that I can use this tacky paste with another brand of foil. Super, super cute. I'm going to save that piece of foil because I can use that with toner sheets I don't want to confuse, but there are products called toner sheets also made by ThermoWeb, and LDRS Creative had some, so you can add that extra foil on there. Okay, so here are the 4 that I made. I'm going to show you some cards in just a minute, but you can see that the tacky paste and the foil worked beautifully. All right, now I dug out from my craft stash. I had some of these dies, these word dies that I love from Diamond Press that I've had for at least 2 years now. These are great. They are easy to use to fill a card, and I've got these little strips here, these little foam strips that I've used forever for shaker cards, but they're great for things like this. I am not going to apply a liquid adhesive. I'm assuming that this product, this tacky paste, is a water-based product, so I don't want to apply any water on top of it. I think the foil would probably be fine, but I don't want to take that chance, so I am going to use some foam to apply that sentiment to the front of this card. Now here are some others that I finished. I just trimmed them down a little bit, added them to a white card base, and you can see that the foil is certainly taking center stage, as it should be. I kept these really simple so you can see all of that sparkle. And that is the tacky paste and the results that I had with this product. I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to subscribe. I've got some other videos coming from this collection. Have a great day. Thanks so much for watching.